Welcome to Fireteam Chat, IGN's Destiny show. Thank you so much for joining us. Today in the studio with me is Sean Finnegan.
Chomp chomp.
Stephen Rue.
Hello.
And I'm here in the host spot just for today. Destin is out to Canada getting, I think, some much-needed R&R.
Great White North.
The Great White North. Fran Mirabella, as many people still post in the comments, is no longer working at IGN, but he is here in spirit. We'll talk about some of those moments in our conversation today. On today's show, we are actually going to discuss a major reveal that is now in the game. Spoilers. Pulled pork, he messed up. Answering questions about triumphs, titles, defining hardcore versus casual, as well as some other comments that people had in the chat. And to cap it off, we'll take a quick look at some of our best Fireteam Chat moments in 2018. Right off the bat, I didn't know what was going on in this. I saw this, and I did not watch the episode that you guys talked about this already.
Oh, yeah, spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
So if you don't want to talk about or hear about it, skip ahead like
Skip
5
ahead
minutes.
just a few minutes. We won't focus on it too long. I didn't know. Now, I stayed in the dark. I was away for that episode, and I intentionally did not dive into what this was. And I'm glad I didn't, because I got a chance to watch it in-game as Steven was playing, and it was crazy for me. Riven, in that moment where we were taking out Aldrin, he's now back because pulled pork revived him.
As his guardian.
What a mess up. What was that ghost thinking?
Well, technically, he didn't know it was him.
I know, but that's the other crazy part. So, Steven, give us a little synopsis of what happened in the trailer.
The ghost pulled pork, which is a Grimoire card. The ghost is called pulled pork. He's been looking for his guardian for a really long time. The guardians almost kind of feel bad for him. And
They feel bad for him?
yeah, because he can't find a guardian.
Okay, that's fair.
That's
I know
like a
that.
very distressing thing for ghosts, that you can't find a guardian.
You know what's distressing? Watching him find Aldrin. That was distressing.
Yeah, so then
that moment that
he
Aldrin said,
rezzed Aldrin, and
Yeah.
then a
Now
lot of things.
Aldrin's a guardian.
I mean, we already talked about it earlier, but like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that could come from this. But he doesn't know he's Aldrin.
yeah. So
Or he
that's-
doesn't know what he did.
Right. He has
Yeah.
no
He has no memories of his
connotation
past life.
backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was watching that, a part of me obviously wished it was Cade. I did not think it was, but I don't know why I just didn't think of Aldrin. I think because of the way the story ended, we put Aldrin in the grave. There was no mention of him after that. I really it did surprise me. I'm not sure what I was expecting or who I was expecting it to be. But the moment he set up, and you were watching me as I saw it, and I was
CJ
like,
was shocked. Right when I saw the ghost rezzing something or someone in the Dreaming City, I was like, oh, it's going to be Aldrin.
I just figured he would potentially be I'm not sure what they would have done with him. I just like to see him sitting there in the middle. My brain was not thinking that was Aldrin. I'm not sure what they would have done with the body, right?
Well, we talked a little bit about it on the show, but I think this is actually, you know how when we finished the campaign the first time when Forsaken launched, we all kind of thought that the way Aldrin's story ended and the way we saw him kind of die, it being off camera and stuff, that we weren't really happy with that.
Yeah.
I said on the last episode, or the episode where we talked about this leak, that Bungie bringing him back, I think it's a bold move, and I think narratively, it's a twist that a lot of people didn't see coming, like you.
Yeah.
And I think it adds another level. This is now potentially the third act of Aldrin's story, which is really interesting. Because if they had left him where he was, in the grave, we see him die off camera, we don't even get to pull the trigger ourselves, the end of Forsaken campaign. That didn't seem like a fitting end to me. Yeah. Now, is this a fitting end? I don't know, because we got to see how it plays out, but it is certainly really interesting.
It is, because my brain kept thinking and Steve and I were talking a little bit about this off camera. I was obviously aware that, okay, he's not going to have any memories. I'm just Ikora's going to want to Nova bomb him in the head, and everybody's going to not like him being around when he shows up. But I did start thinking about our Guardian. Now, Steven, you were saying you didn't really agree or think much of this.
Yeah.
I always think now, what were we doing before we got revived in the Cosmodrome?
Well, we don't know.
Exactly.
It's one of the great mysteries of our Guardian's history, right?
It really is. And so there's not much detail, Grimoire, about that. And to me now, that is immediately where my mind went after seeing Aldrin get revived.
I mean, that's one of the great things about Destiny is the deeper you look into the Grimoire and you start reading the lore behind the items and stuff, there's a great history and sort of meta narrative that exists in the shadows of Destiny that is really, really interesting. And I've been diving a lot into it recently, just reading on Destinypedia and stuff, because I've been doing title grinding. But there's so much out there that there's I don't know. There's a wealth of stuff that you can dive into that's really interesting, and I think this is just one aspect of it. You know?
Yeah.
So-
Well, I was saying I don't think there's anything there in terms of us. Like, I think the reason why I was telling CJ this, I think the reason why we don't talk, or that we didn't have, like, we weren't a special figure before we were a guardian, was
Well, we
because
say
it's
a few
supposed
words.
to be.
We say a few words.
It's supposed to be us.
Yeah.
Like literally us as the guardian.
Totally.
So when we died, we were just like, I don't know, we probably got shot in the face by a fallen or something.
Well, also, like, it wouldn't be all that interesting if we all Guardians had a similar backstory.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
telling
Yeah,
CJ.
yeah.
The second they give us a backstory, it's
It's
no
every
longer
player's,
us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why I don't think there's anything to it or any story there.
But it is cool that other Guardians have, like, backstories.
Oh yeah, for
Well,
sure.
that's what I mean. I think that's what's weird is that we're this notorious guardian again who kills these gods and takes out all these things, and we were just some random dude hanging out in the Cosmodrome, like, oh, fallen killed me.
That's the
interesting.
whole
And I-
logo they has become legend.
And I get
Yeah.
that. And so, but it is cool to think about that could be a possibility. I actually agree with you. I don't think that they'll focus on our backstory.
Oh, you agree with me? Huh?
I do. I mean, come on, Steven. I can admit it when I think that you're right. I mean, Steven has proven correct a few times, Mr. Nostradamus over there. We'll talk about that later. But you also said something I think that was pretty unique about this situation, that if they actually did lean into some of these details, there was a cutscene from a previous cutscene in D1.
If there are a lot of old assets or old concept arts that have made it into Forsaken and Black Armory and stuff like that. For instance, we got Thunderlord from a fallen captain in the wall of the Cosmodrome. And if you remember, in the very first gameplay reveal trailer, they kill the captain in that same area and he drops a Thunderlord. Like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, not specifically.
Yeah.
When they first showed off Destiny, it was in the Cosmodrome. It was the exact same mission as the Thunderlord mission that we got in Destiny 2.
And that's some of the reason why I think people wanted it to drop there versus going back.
Yeah. So we got Thunderlord there. The raid boss, there's concept art of him a long time ago from D1. People were saying, oh, it'd be really cool if he was in D2 when he was the raid boss. Now there's a cutscene in the official Destiny gameplay reveal trailer where you are in the Cosmodrome and Uldren pulls a gun on you. And then he says, why is the entire city breathing down my back? He doesn't know why. It plays perfectly
snap.
into what happened now.
Wait, this is from Destiny
1 before
one?
the game came out.
Or the very first
And
game
things
we
got
did.
cut, and I'm
Wow.
Yeah.
and I'm assuming that trailer or that cutscene with Uldren makes it in its way
So-
into the game.
Is this like incredible foresight and meticulously detailed planning from the Bungie team, or were they like, "Hey, you know what would be cool
Yeah.
if
I
we
mean,
went back?"
Well, we aren't devs, but I'm sure they had all these crazy ideas and things didn't make it into the game, and then it made it into Forsaken, I guess. But
Which kind of brings us to a little bit of the next topic is, I mean, Sean, you've been vocal about this. You're always saying, okay, maybe the stories, you want to see some of the stuff that was in the Grimoire cards. I think they've done a really good job of bringing that into Forsaken with this new UI and triumphs and lore and all that stuff in the game. Is this one of the greatest Destiny cutscene reveal moments in the game?
Ooh, I mean, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think maybe a little bit of its thunder was stolen from me because I saw the leak,
Right.
so I didn't.
but when
get
you
to,
saw the leak, were you like, oh, snap?
yeah, I was really interested. I thought it was cool, man. I don't know how it ranks as far as like top Destiny moments or cutscenes for me. Like, I'd really have to go back and look at that stuff.
It's pretty high for me, though, because I think a combination of just it caught me off guard. That was the thing that I don't know why I wasn't thinking that was Uldren.
Are we talking about like in-game cutscenes or even like story trailers and
Well,
stuff?
yeah, like in-game cutscenes or even just something that was revealed that you're like, whoa, that was a pretty big moment. Like, I
Something-
think that's up there.
Something that really ranks high for me is the Rise of Iron stuff, just because I thought like the moment that Lord Saladin pulls out that giant flaming
Yes.
hammer.
Oh,
and
and
that
he
was
runs
really
at
good.
the Fallen?
yeah,
Yes.
and the stuff with the wolves. I mean, look at the shirt that I'm wearing, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Like
That is a
this
good cutscene.
Thanks, man. Yeah, like I love that one.
My favorite cutscene is when Cade fights the Scorn.
That is a really cool
That's
one,
also
too.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you get to see him blade barrage and
Oh, I guess it is an in-game.
stab
Fine,
a
and-
Scorn with his helmet.
In that first mission, the same sort of thing. When Cade, like, he's like, "We need to get to the bottom really quick," and then he like looks up.
No,
And then like
I miss
it
Cade.
hard cuts to him like writing it down
Rodeoing it.
rodeo style,
So
like in
good.
slow motion. Like that's such a great moment.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, so that was obviously pretty big reveal this week.
Well, here's a question: where do you think this is gonna like land? Like,
Good question.
where?
I mean, I think, we obviously are looking at other future things coming up, like Penumbra and whatever the next, like, untitled DLC is after that. I don't think that because they've really said that they're not going to lean much into story for these DLCs.
Yeah.
To me, if they do one more, again, which would be the equivalent of, like, Rise of Iron, that might be the capping off of Destiny 2 if they do another big DLC in September next year.
You think we're gonna wait till September to see Aldrin again? I don't like.
I mean, not see him.
Good,
I
but-
think that there's a chance. Do you guys think Aldrin might show up in the tower in Cade's old spot, or do you think that will never happen?
I don't know. Like, I'm excited to see the Queen. Well, we have to wait 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
But that's when the Queen's gonna come back. But I'm excited to see that. Like,
I'm excited to see how they weave it in. Like,
Yeah.
I know that they've said that they're not. I know that Bungie said that they're not going to focus too much on story with this upcoming gameplay or with these upcoming updates, but like, I think that you reveal a major story element like this, you let it play out in the universe kind of in a subtle way, right? Like, it would be really cool if this season of the whatever ended up being the finale of that kind of arc,
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see just how this story plays out. I don't think it'll be. I think they've said that they're not going to focus on story stuff just to temper people's expectations. Like people like me who want, a 6-hour campaign,
Wanna know it
narrative, linear. Like I think they're saying that to like, yeah, like I think they're saying that so that people like me don't come like hope for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I do think that there will that these kind of narrative threads will be, at least I hope they are sort of followed up on in Season of the Drifter and Season of the Redacted.
Yeah. These are the kind of things when they say surprise and delight that they're not putting in there that, I think we're going to get off and on through it and they'll just kind of drop them when they see fit sort of thing.
Yeah, I can't.
Now moving on real quick, we're going to talk just about a couple people's questions as well as what we're doing this week. The third Forge just got released a little while ago. I haven't got a chance to make it there yet. There's been a lot of stuff. We're wrapping up the end of the year. Steve and Sean, you guys both grinded, and did you get to the Forge yet or no, Sean?
I've done the first two. I haven't done the third one.
Okay, so Sean hasn't opened up.
Been busy doing something else.
I was going to say, we'll get to that, but Steven, real quick, what's your take on the third Forge? Obviously, I did watch some gameplay. It's a little bit bigger.
This is the Izanagi Forge?
Izanami.
Izanami, yeah.
Izanami.
It seems like there's a little bit more strategic movement and play, I guess, if you have to be in different areas, but not
really.
Nothing
Chucking
major,
balls.
right?
No,
Yeah.
not really. I mean, like, the quest itself was a doozy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, that took me a long time.
Yeah.
And you have to do so many heroic events, public events. You have to find lost sectors. It's a lot. And like, I did it on all 3 characters for the second Forge and the first Forge. The second Forge, doing it on all 3 took a lot out of me. I don't even know when I'm gonna do it for all 3
Second
on
Forge,
this one.
the pre-quest
Yes.
to unlock it, and that's
Yeah.
the easy one.
I mean, it was easy, but it was still like tedious. This
it's like-
one is actually longer than some of the campaigns of like the Warmind and stuff. Like,
Oh man.
Yeah.
it's a lot, and yeah, I mean, but like,
So
I wish it was account based.
So here, so that I think I've heard that a lot. Again, Destin, he's been in this weird position where he's been fairly salty about it, and yet he's still doing it. So it's funny because whether or not Destiny is the game he loves to hate or hates that he loves it secretly, he's still playing it, and he keeps saying, you know what, it still just really feels good to shoot things.
Yeah.
Well, we all agree about that.
And that's the thing. It does keep you playing.
Steph brought up something really interesting on Discord the other day, which is that, at least personally for him, and you can speak to this a bit better, I think, you said that you would much rather be doing this Forge style mechanic where you can do the same things over and over again and the same activity over and over again to grind a specific weapon that you have in your inventory, rather than go into a strike and grind the same strike out and pray to RNGs so that you get the thing that you want.
I remember like when we would grind Grass Malik, you melt her, and then you like wipe and get. Oh no! Well, it was you melt her so fast before the final encounter, and then you wipe, and it takes you right in front of her, and you just keep doing it again. And I do remember it was exciting when you saw a purple engram drop, but it could have been Grass Malik or it could have been the Warlock Bond. And then you have to hope it's a 50-50 chance when you get the engram, and then you have to hope it's the right rolls. That grind, I don't think that's a good grind. Like this grind, you're doing it. You know what you're gonna get. You have a choice between 2 weapons. Like last week was the sniper and hand cannon.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
the god roll for both.
Saw that.
I did not.
I got a snapshot sniper, which is pretty good, but Steven got a snapshot kill clip.
Yeah, but you get to choose which weapon you want to grind for. It's guaranteed, and now you're just solely grinding for the rolls,
roll,
and I
yeah.
think that's a good grind.
Yep.
It's better for sure.
It is what Destiny is. It's funny. I mentioned in the comments last week to people let me know, Escalation Protocol. How many runs have you done? Do you guys know how many runs you've done? Steven, I know you've done tons of runs.
Yeah.
But the reason why I was salty, and some people are in the same boat, Steven got the Escalation Protocol shotgun on the first run.
Yeah.
Did you also get it on the first run?
On my very first completion of level 7 back in the day, I think it was with you guys.
I think you got the SMG.
I got the shotgun and the sniper on the same.
The worst.
Oh,
two
because
best
it was
ones.
the
worst.
everything can drop thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
here's the thing
I
is,
got
like-
lucky, but I would have kept going if I didn't get it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're about to bring up. Actually, go ahead and bring it up.
Okay,
before I
well, so
wait.
here, there's a couple people in the comments who are kind of they were siding with me a little bit, but then they were also like, 23 runs, bro, get good. That's not a lot. There's some people, Crazy161, it's 43 runs, no EP shoddy. Spaztech, 100 boss kills, no EP shoddy. Feels bad, man. Absolutely. 70 runs, 56 runs, 30 runs. 40 to 50, 23, Click Kill Billy, Sophia, Dustron, Joseph Lee. There's a bunch of people in there who did it around that many times and got it, and so they were grinding. But there are first-timers as well. C-Sharp 57, John Collins got it on their first completion, at which point in time Martin Drake jumped in. Yeah, I did it one time, and then I never did it again. And then a few posts down, Dan Sheridan, and we all hate you. Which is kind of like that's what that thing does in Destiny when you hear people's stories. It's like, oh, I did the first time, got it. I did it like 100 times, like some of the people, and have not yet got it.
Yeah.
It is one of those funny things how RNG works.
I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to weigh in on is like, why are we bringing this up? Because are we trying to point out that RNG sucks for some people and it doesn't for others? Because I guess we know that, right?
We do know that. So
sometimes it's really good for you. Other times it's really not.
And when it's bad, sometimes, like maybe when it's attached to a title, let's talk about that.
What a good segue.
What a good segue.
Segue.
Sean Finnegan playing a lot of the content to grind for these new titles. Now, this was something for me that I thought once they showcased the lore tab and Destiny 2 turned into a collection game, I really enjoyed. And it's kept me playing for some of that reason. Like, I do love the gameplay and all the rest of those things. You recently just unlocked what?
Yeah, so I finally unlocked my Dredgen title from
There you
Gambit.
go.
And I've been on this grind for the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. I've just been playing a ton of Gambit, and
Only Gambit.
yeah, it really takes a lot of Gambit.
Left the holiday party early.
I went home
To
early
go
from the holiday
home.
party. Well, because I
Respect.
had to make sure that I had it for today's show. That was the big thing. I did not want Destin challenged me. He was like, "You can't get it by the."
He did challenge you.
Yeah, he was
did
like,
it.
"You can't do it by the show." And
Got him.
I have it. It's on.
Got him. There it is.
Check out my Twitter. Screenshot is on there.
Get good.
But it brought up a lot of really interesting things, which is while I was on this grind, one, I was way more in tune with a lot of the sort of minor story elements that opened up the lore. And for me, that's a really big thing. So for instance, I didn't ever really pay attention to the stuff that the Drifter said in sort of the pregame lobby, like when you're loaded in, but you're not you're sitting across from the other team and whatnot. But he'll say really interesting things. Like there's this one where you get Fallen, and he's like, no one hated the Fallen more than Saint 14. And then he goes,
you were mentioning
people say that he's dead, but I don't buy it. And I'm a Titan. I have that helm. And I'm like, wait, Saint 14 might still be around. And immediately I have to go to Destiny PD and look up Saint 14 and see what happened and stuff. And that's really awesome to me. So that's really cool. But then it led into this discussion that we all had over lunch a few days ago, where we were talking about how titles are maybe one of the best decisions Bungie has made about what to put in the game, and then how they've implemented them is also really, really good.
Yeah.
Because one, they're
Almost how they implement it.
Exactly. We'll do the caveat.
yeah, we'll get
after.
into that, right? So I can only speak. I haven't grinded for any of the other titles besides Dredgen, and I know that Dredgen of the titles is the least prone to RNG.
Yeah.
Although some elements are still RNG based.
And Unbroken doesn't have much RNG either.
That's
Right.
true,
Yeah. It takes a while to get, but
Right. But what I like about it is, one, it is a grind, right? It takes a lot of Gambit, and you kind of can't be just losing, right? You got to be winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's faster if you win.
Way faster if you win. Well, also at the higher levels of your infamy rank, you don't get points
you
for
don't get
losing.
points.
So the only way to increase your infamy rank there is actually by completing the bounties, which are limited per week, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that I think titles are great because they're really exclusive, right? Because they're difficult to get. Not a lot of people have them. They display like externally so other people can
Yeah, I
have
think
them.
it's so cool. I remember
like-
the first time I saw someone in the tower with the title, and I was like, all right, I need to get a title.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that was the
exactly.
thing is
Motivation.
Like, I had a buddy like he was like, "Hey, what is that dredging thing?" And I was actually like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
That's really cool, and I had to go look it up. I chose dredging because it's the simplest one to get,
yeah.
which I don't think that makes it the easiest, but it is the simplest.
Just because it's the simplest to get doesn't mean it's easy. Like
Yeah.
none of them are easy to get.
None of them are easy to
It
get.
requires a crap ton of game.
Yeah,
game.
but
it does.
dredging specifically is simple because all it requires is that you play a metric ton of Gambit. Like that's all it really requires.
And Gambit is a good game mode. Like we always talk about how, what makes game modes good or bad. I think Sleeper and obviously Skill Breaker.
Oh my God.
Queensbreaker.
Dude, no one even okay.
I need to go on a
Oh,
rant.
Steven's
Yeah,
gonna
hold
go on
on,
a
but
rant.
back
I
up
got
real quick.
Queensbreaker to drop.
People got it. People got in my or when I posted about this on Twitter. People got in my mentions. They were like, "It's so easy if you just like Sleeper team up." And I was like, "Dude, no one uses Sleeper anymore." But Queensbreaker.
Queensbreaker.
I got
Man.
Queensbreaker for the first time 2 days ago.
There you go.
And this was when Sean was still grinding Gambit.
It's
Like, there's
dirty.
literally nothing for me to do in Gambit anymore, except
Because
just
you have the title, yeah.
yeah. I have the title and I've done all the other achievements for it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, Sean, I'm gonna test this bad boy out. So Bungie, you got to do something about it. You literally don't have to aim.
Yeah, I as someone who the only way you can counter it is to not fight it.
It was
Yeah.
terrible. It was
Yeah.
to the point where I was calling out my kills beforehand. They were like, before you take a shot, call it out. I was like, all right, I'm gonna kill this guy. Kill.
Yep.
I'm gonna kill this guy. Kill. It's terrible.
Here's the thing. The first time I actually never got killed with a headshot, I said to Steven, what's going on? Why is my screen all white? Because 9 times out of 10, when you get Queensbreaker,
No, 99
also blinds
times
you,
out.
yeah.
it blinds you when you don't.
If it doesn't kill
if
you,
it
it
doesn't
blinds
kill
you.
you. But it's crazy. So I'm interested to see if that will stick around very long. Or I mean, they nerfed Sleeper.
They
ammo.
nerfed the ammo.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that so they nerfed Sleeper because everyone in the world whined that it was imbalanced and it was breaking Gambit. But if you have Queensbreaker, it's no way like Sleeper never even approached this level.
I
Like
know. No,
Queensbreaker's so broken.
And the reason
Like,
why no one complained about Queensbreaker before is not a lot of people had it. Everyone
Exactly.
had Sleeper, but trust me,
Yeah.
Queensbreaker is there's
easy
got to
to-
be a bug. Like
it's aim it in a
aim,
Guardian's general
aim at
direction.
their knee, aim at their kneecap,
And hit them in the head.
No, you don't even need to aim. You can hit fire kneecap, and it'll
Yeah.
hit them in the head. Like
It's crazy.
There were times where I was laughing out loud to
I
myself.
know.
Like, how was that a kill?
It is fun in like the most broken way fun, which is almost like what we said with
But, like,
Prometheus Lens.
But again,
skill
everyone
breakers,
had
though.
Yeah.
everyone had Prometheus.
Yeah, I
right. So
know.
that's the difference, right? Like that's balanced as everyone has it, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's broken, but like this is imbalanced because not a lot of people have it, right?
Yes.
And it's so easy to get kills.
Yeah.
The only way to fight against it, and when people are Queensbreakering, is that a verb? It is now.
Skill breaking.
Yes.
Skill breaking. You just hide. Like when you
have
know
to
that they invite, you just don't peek people. That's
Yeah.
the only way to fight against it.
So I did ironically get it about a week or two ago, and I got it in Gambit, and it just seemed so wrong. But I'm enjoying it.
But we went a little off topic here.
Yeah,
But the
titles.
titles, right? So
Yes.
I think that's awesome that they put in titles, and I hope that they put in more.
I hope they do as well.
Like think about all of the really cool things that there are in Destiny for people to do and that people
Yes.
love to do, for which they might be able to earn a title, right?
Yeah.
Like it would be so awesome.
And the RNG component is, I guess, what we want to focus on. Steven, real quick, what's your take on it? Because I think that in some ways it's good, but it does frustrate you if you get to the point where you earn up to that area of, especially with dredging, and you don't get the ship or the sparrow, and you're playing for a long, long period of time. And the reason why I brought up all the people who have potentially done the EP Shoddy Escalation Protocol, so like 100 and some matches and not getting that shotgun, that is painful.
I will say though, if you don't have the EP Shoddy or any of the EP weapons now, do it now because they've added like a mechanic where you get an increased chance at the drop rate after a completion.
Is that into the the symbols or the sorry, I'm blanking on what we call them actually now. No, the titles. Is that mechanic in there?
You need all the weapons for Wayfarer.
No, but I mean, is the
Wayfarer.
mechanic in there where the more you play,
No.
it's just totally
It's only
random?
for EP. If you want the EP shoddy, play up to wave 7, kill the boss, and then you can actually start from wave 6 again. So that's faster. And then every time you don't get it, like it took you 5 tries, right?
Well, that day, I was on like 17 or something or 16.
Like the people who said it took them 100 times, I guarantee you it's before they implemented that.
Right.
Like there's no way you can do it 100 times and not get it now.
So that was my thing, is like when it comes to the Dredgen title, like I maybe killed over, like from beginning to end of the grind, I maybe killed 15 or 17 meatballs.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you have to play so much Gambit just to reset your infamy rank 3 times to get that ghost.
Yeah, unless
there's no way you're not going to get the ship and the Sparrow through just regular playing of that title.
Unless you're just that bad and never kill it.
That's the thing, is unless you don't kill it, at which point get good, right? Like, because I can see, yes, it is RNG whether or not you get the servitor, and it is RNG whether or not it decides to drop.
Yeah.
What isn't RNG is if you can't kill him.
Yeah.
Like that is if you just suck.
But what if the
But-
entire other team has Queenbreaker bow?
But
It probably does get harder over time, though, for real. Because if people start getting way better weapons and start getting Queensbreaker, it becomes a little bit more difficult.
I mean, maybe, but here's the thing. I grinded Dredgen without Queensbreaker up until the very end when I got Queensbreaker, and then guess what? I actually don't use it because
you
people
use
just hide
1,000
from me. I
voices,
use 1,000 voices, which for me it allows me to hit people behind walls a lot.
Yeah.
Or I can just like skim them, or like when people are depositing motes, you can just
great.
you can do like a diagonal move across it and hit all of them.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's really good. 1,000 voices might be the only heavy that's as good as Queensbreaker and Gambit.
But back to the RNG point.
Yeah.
For titles like Wayfarer, I don't mind. Wayfarer requires you to do a bunch of adventures on each planet, and you can only do that when it's the waypoint. You need to kill like a bunch of high-value targets. There's a lot to do in Wayfarer, but there's also, you have to complete the associated badges for each thing, and like a badge requires you to get all the armor and weapon drops of that DLC. Like there's a badge for Curse of Osiris, badge for Warmind. For things like that, I don't mind when there's RNG involved, because like Wayfarer, when you see someone Wayfarer, they did all the lost sectors and all that, and they've got every single armor piece and weapon in a DLC. But when it comes to Cursebreaker and Ravensbane, like I just need the ship from the Shattered Shore for Cursebreaker, and I've done it on every character every time it's up. Don't have it. So that RNG is preventing me from being Cursebreaker. And then Ravensbane, you need all the armor and all the weapons, which is fine, except for 1,000 voices, which is a low drop. I have 1,000 voices, but you also need the ship, the Sparrow, and the Ghost. I don't have the Ghost or Sparrow, and I've done Last Wish 32 times. That's all I need.
Wow.
When RNG affects titles like that, I don't think it should matter.
Yeah.
I mean, so we talked a little bit about this because we were, I posted on Twitter and there were people going back in my mentions, but I don't think that it's the right to adjust RNG or remove RNG. The RNG rate or whatever Bungie's determined for these drops is what it is because they made a decision.
But it
right?
shouldn't be a title requirement.
But I do think that there's a problem when people are working towards something and they feel like something's preventing them from getting to where they want, and it's something they can't control. That is a problem. So when you've done like Last Wish 32 times and you just haven't gotten it, like that feels like, okay, I'm now not in control of it. This RNG mechanic is preventing me from getting here. That can be frustrating. I can get. But like, what's the answer? I don't think taking RNG out or making it non-random is the answer.
So the answer, I think, is what's in Escalation Protocol, where, I mean, obviously they're keeping track of a lot of the stuff like deep into the system of the game, where if you do X amount of runs, it should, become easier.
Progressively increase your chance.
Yeah. And I think if they did something like that, you obviously, if you had super bad luck, you'd get to the point where, I mean, if you do run it, like you said, 60 to 70 times and you don't get it, like that's going to be annoying. At some point in time, it's going to, I mean, that's Destiny's biggest problem, is that you get to the point where you don't care. So there needs to be a time where it feels approachable and yet difficult. Yeah. But you can't get to the point where you're like, you know what, I don't care about this anymore. And so then you don't do it.
I do agree. You don't ever want to get to that point, but I do disagree with that. It should be easier Like you should get a higher chance at Galahorn the more times you do something. Like I don't mind that this that 1,000 voices and the Sparrow and the Ghost are such low drop rates. What I do mind is that I need this title because of that. If they just took out the RNG, like the collection part,
Yeah.
For instance, like people should be saying like I am a flawless run away from being Riven's Bane. Like
Yes,
that
like
isn't
one
an
more number.
obtainable
Yes.
thing because you can do the raid whenever and try to go flawless.
Yeah.
I've already done all that. I just need the Ghost and Sparrow, and since I've done it on all 3 characters, I gotta wait till Tuesday. That's not. And when I do finally get the Ghost and Sparrow, I'm not gonna feel achieved, right?
Yeah.
Like yes, I got lucky. You know, so I think they should just take the collections part out of it.
So we got to move on, but I think, I mean, you're coming at it, Stephen, from a, not only I would say fairly hardcore player, but somebody who plays the game an awful lot. And because there's a lot of people in the comments who disagree with your Zur approach too. They're like, you know what, I kind of like Zur. He was there to give me some exotics that I didn't get, especially if you look back at D1, eventually like Zur ended up selling Icebreaker and Galahorn. Because if you played the game for a year plus and never got those things, that was frustrating. Like, I'm not saying they should introduce exotics right off the bat in Forsaken. I think it's good. But after a while, okay, come on, like.
But that's in terms of collection. This is in terms of obtaining a title.
A title. No,
Yes.
I hear that. So let's move on real quick to a couple other things that people have discussed. And we've gotten into this conversation a number of times, and we often refer to casual and hardcore. And how do you define that person? And we often go just 2 categories, which I think, especially for Destiny 2, is not really accurate. I can't believe I'm saying this. Not hardcore anymore. Life, family, wife, kids. Don't ever say that I wasn't hardcore, Stephen. I already knew where your brain was going. But it is one of those things where...
Is that where your brain was going?
Yeah, I already know I know how Stephen works. I got him here. I understand. Oh, CJ, you're too old. But it is one of those things where we often say that, and there's a lot of people who message me and they say, hey, when you say hardcore, I play the game 8 hours a week. I don't do raids. I don't do strikes. I just grind out PvP. What category am I in?
That's why I don't like only having 2 boats. Like
exactly,
it's not that black and white.
It's not, and I think
it's also not just tied to time. Like,
no, it's not. And so that's what, like, let's kind of define this a little bit, because when I say hardcore, I think, you know, somebody who not only maybe understands Destiny, they might not need to play every activity, but they have at least attempted every activity, whether it's trials, the raid, PvP, any of those things, and they've experienced enough of it where they can like form a basis for, you know, being able to compete in the PvP space or the PvE space and understand, like, you know, what Destiny has to offer. But having said that, that is a category that often, I don't think it fits the bill. There's a lot of different players out there. Yeah. So, you know, a term Duggan likes to use is, what was it? A modern core, where it talks about the core. Yeah, he says it a lot, where it talks about the person who maybe invests a lot of time.
Actually, from an internal study.
Well, I know, but that's my point. Like he uses it a lot.
We've done of our audience.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like where it's the person who is like everybody in the Fireteam Chat comments who comes and wants to be involved with the game and know about the game. Maybe they don't play it the same way we do, or only play PvP but don't raid, or only play PvP. It's interesting. How do you guys actually categorize, and what 3rd category or 4th category would you say there should be when we talk about, you know, we shouldn't cater to casuals, or we shouldn't, you know, we should focus more on the hardcore, because we really do lump people into 2 categories.
Do you want me to go first?
I do, because my answer is very simple.
Get good or get bad.
we know Sean already.
There should be 3 categories. Like it's silly to be casual or hardcore. I'm like, if you're watching this podcast, 99% of the time you're going to consider yourself a hardcore Destiny player.
Yep.
Right? Like,
I mean, we have seen a lot of comments though from people who are like, I watch the show, but I don't play the game.
That's true. But if you still play the game and you watch the show every week, I'd like...
Or people feel like they're casual because of life things.
Yeah.
And I fall into that category. So I make jokes that I neglect my family and children all the time. I love my wife.
There's 3 categories in my opinion. There's the casuals that literally just pick up Destiny, play through the campaign, don't even attempt the raid, maybe play PvP a couple times. They probably haven't even done every strike in the game, and they don't even get to the end game content. They finish the story, they kind of understand what's going on, and then they move on to the next game like Red Dead or whatever. That's what I consider a casual. Then there's a second base, let's call it devoted Destiny fan, and I think that's
Devoted
where
Destiny
the majority of players lie.
Yep.
And what that is you play every week. You know everything about Destiny. You've attempted a raid or know about the raids. You know all the strikes. You know all the weapons. Like, you have a huge information and knowledge of Destiny. You might not just have a fire team to complete such activities or things like that, but you follow Destiny. You play the DLC every time. Like, sometimes there's people with jobs and families. Like, you just can't do everything. But that does not make you a casual player.
Yeah.
You're still a devoted Destiny player. And I consider the majority of players in that category.
Yeah, what would you say percentage-wise? Like, just throw a number out there, because I feel
If
like
you took 100,
bell curve.
if you took 100 Destiny players, I would say 40 of them are casual. 55 of them are in this category, like devoted, and then 5 of them are actually hardcore.
Yeah.
And when I mean hardcore, you're a completionist. You have 3 characters. You do everything. You've completed everything. You are a master and of all aspects of Destiny. You know what each role drops at. You know how to do the thing the most efficiently, fastest way possible.
Man, this is a high
plays
bar,
into it.
man.
Yeah.
And that's what I consider hardcore. Like in Destiny 1, if you have 3 characters, you have max Grimoire score, you're chasing everything. That to me is what a hardcore player is. Everything else is just a very, very devoted fan base.
Yeah.
So when people consider themselves hardcore and they have like, I don't know, they've never done the raid or anything, that doesn't take away from you as a player. But I think when we should establish hardcore players as people who are like at the very top of the top.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What do you think? Now, we don't get too much time, so I mean.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I was going to go off on a rant.
Well,
here.
I know, but
15 minutes.
But you do that, so
I
just
don't.
Mini rant.
I'm very concise about these things.
Hear it.
I don't know that I can sit here and like decide what is hardcore and what is casual.
Yeah.
But I know that I know a hardcore player when I see it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Like,
True. Yeah.
I don't need to know anything about what Teddy has done in the game to talk to that guy for 5 minutes and know he's hardcore about the game.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Absolutely. Like, it's just something I know. I feel it, right?
Yeah.
And
Feels it.
I
Sean
don't.
Finnegan.
What I disagree with you, Steven, is like when someone tells me I'm a hardcore player, but I've never done the raid or I've never gone flawless. I think that does take away from it, because to me, a person who is hardcore about the game is, regardless of what they've achieved and what they haven't, or what their like life work balance is like, a hardcore player is someone who's always trying to push forward and attain something and try and be the top level of something, whatever it is, right?
That's why I put them in the third category.
So, like, great example of someone who I think is hardcore about this game, Brian Malkowitz, right?
Yeah.
Brian Malkowitz has not gone flawless. He doesn't have any titles. He's done the raid less than you.
Couple times,
And
yeah.
more than
More than me.
you
right
and
now.
me,
Yeah.
like the new raid.
Well, because he's a PvE strike
Yeah, so-
grinder.
exactly. He's a PvE guy. He loves the PvE stuff, but that dude knows everything. So I know when I talk to him that he's a hardcore player. But I can't sit here and be like, well, if you're not hardcore if you have or haven't done the raid, or have or haven't gotten flawless, or have a higher than 1.0 KD. But like all of those things in some way do factor into whether or not I think you're a hardcore player. And when I sit here on this show and talk about hardcore versus casual, try to understand that I'm not rendering a judgment on you specifically, because I don't know what you do, or I've never talked to you for the most part. I've only seen your comments like in my Twitter or on the comments section in YouTube.
They're so nice. Always.
Always, yeah. But the point is that like I don't think that when we talk about how mechanics should be balanced versus hardcore versus casuals, that it is necessarily a discussion about like who is hardcore and who isn't. It's more philosophical discussion about what type of player should Bungie be balancing things for.
And that's the reason why I wanted to bring it up, because I think when we say hardcore player, Steven's right. Like, I think there's a very small percentage. And what I would say there's a bigger percentage of, and that's probably what they try to balance for, and obviously want to engage a bunch of people. There's a bunch of devoted Destiny fans. And if you would incorporate them within the hardcore, because they're the ones following the game and obviously want to take part in all the different activities, or know enough maybe about certain things, whether it's PvE or PvP. Yeah, I think when we say casual, we don't really label the people who just play the campaign and then leave casual. But that's what those people feel like, I think, right? Like
Yeah.
they feel like, oh, I don't have the time or I'm not playing as much and I don't have a crew and I don't raid, so that makes me casual. There's a lot of people I think who are still like, a bunch of people reply to me saying, I'm light level 650. I haven't done the raid. I play every week, 5 days a week. I play tons of PvE. I play tons of PvP.
Yeah,
but
I put them in
they're
that
still low
second
players.
category.
Yeah, but then
Yeah,
it's
and
like
they're devoted.
us saying that the game shouldn't be balanced towards casuals, or me saying that specifically, shouldn't. If you're that player, it shouldn't ruffle your feathers.
Right, but that's the reason I think it's interesting that we kind of like throw them into two piles, because I think that's a mistake probably that, I mean, everybody labels somebody something, but I think those two categories, like casual, hardcore, the percentages are not even remotely able to be comparable.
I'm really not interested in labels. I'm also not interested in percentages. Like I know it when I see it. Like
But it is interesting.
Like it's like if I need to know something about the game, CJ, I'm not gonna go to you. I'm gonna go to Steven, or I'm gonna go to Teddy. Like because they're hardcore.
The same way.
But do I sit here and be like, well, hardcore Steven this category?
Yeah.
Okay, so
like,
you just labeled me a casual, and that's fine. But my point is, I wouldn't go to you either.
No. You don't see. That's the thing is, I'm very open about what I don't know about this game, which is a lot. I don't know much about the game's lore or the drop rates or anything. Like I ask these questions all the time.
Yeah.
But when it comes to playing, I would say I'm very hardcore.
But that's what I mean.
I would not lose to a lot of people.
Basically, it's not black and white.
But that's the thing.
It's not black and white.
That's what's interesting. I think you think you're hardcore in your definition for you, but you don't think I'm hardcore because PvE is a different, space than PvP, and whether or not you play it and how you play it, there is different. I mean, I have probably like 200 or 300 more hours than you in Destiny 2, and then in Destiny 1, I think I have almost like 2,000.
Of everyone, for clarity, I have the least hours of anyone on Fireteam.
Yeah.
Like Brian C. Team Malkowitz included.
Has way more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's why I don't think it's mattered to play. It's not.
I don't think
tied
it
to
factors into
playtime.
playtime at all.
Yeah, like you can play a metric ton and be a noob. Like
you heard it here. Future Sean versus CJ episode coming up in 2019. It's PvP. We'll do it.
But like I wouldn't say you're casual though.
I'm in the middle that Steven talks about. Honestly, a lot of life stuff for me, and it sucks because I've been in this position where I've been traveling for work and doing a bunch of other stuff. I am now officially here for 3 more years. Had a visa approved, so that's good. But yeah,
damn,
exactly. But
couldn't get rid of you.
We almost got rid of it.
Oh, Canada, here to stay. But yeah, it's an interesting topic that I think a lot of people have talked about.
I don't think anyone that watches the show is a casual.
Me either. I
don't
think a lot of those
so.
people are the devoted Destiny fan or hardcore.
The casuals.
Most people, but that's what I mean. A
The
lot of
casuals
people
are the ones that come into the comments and say, "Do people still play this game?"
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
And we have a lot of good people in the Fireteam Chat comments, I will say. Okay, let's move on to the last couple things. Bit of a longer episode this week, but it's the last one, so thought we'd do that for everybody. Real quick, talk about PvP, Steven, with me. What do you think the state of PvP is?
Ooh,
Jimbo,
this should be good.
Oh, this is a good
yeah,
one.
Jimbo is basically saying, what could they do? I've also, been a good boy this year, so I just really want Trials to return in 2019 with a Destiny 1 flavor. But I think for the most part, we were saying this, that if you are a fan of the current meta of PvP, which is like shotguns, even fusion rifles, which are awesome. And I'm not talking Queensbreaker and those, sleeper. I'm talking about like regular fusion rifles. It's really good, but there are some things I think that people now feel a little bit soured with, and I don't know how they continuously balance the meta, but I'm liking it right now. So I play a lot of PvP. I'm chasing. I almost have Broadsword. I almost have Not Forgotten and Luna's Howl, and those are things I just need to get to Legend and a bunch of those things.
When are you getting that Unbroken title?
I mean, the problem is I needed to get some of those things, and I personally, for Unbroken, I'm not super excited that you have to get multiple seasons of it, because now I'm behind because I wasn't able to get to
3 seasons minimum.
Yeah, 3
Or
seasons.
it is
minimum.
3 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, but I appreciate what that grind is. But I wish that you could potentially grind tons of it in a season if you wanted to and get it. So not excited about that, but I do appreciate that title's there. What's your take on PvP right now? How are you feeling about it?
I like PvP a lot better than it was year 1.
Yep.
However, the PvE is so good now that I just can't get myself away from PvE. In Destiny 1, I was a huge PvP guy.
Yeah.
The PvE in Destiny 1 was not that great.
There wasn't much to
Let's
do.
be honest. There wasn't anything to do, so I only played PvP. I enjoy the PvP now, but the problem is I've noticed this about myself. I want to work for something, work toward for something, and PvP to me, I feel like I'm not working toward anything except in comp, but I don't enjoy playing comp unless I have my dudes with me.
Yeah.
Because I know they're all fantastic players, and everyone in that playlist is going to be very good players themselves. So like I want to put myself in a position to win, but if you're solo queuing, it's almost impossible. It's not impossible. It's almost impossible to get some of these weapons.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people got Luna's Howl by themselves. Congratulations, shout out to them. But it's almost impossible to get Not Forgotten because then it's tied into winning games.
Yeah.
So that alone, like,
and over not multiple seasons, you get in a season, but it's super difficult.
I don't like Countdown. I don't really like Survival.
I don't like Countdown either, or Survival.
Just the playlist itself, the whole comp playlist. I'm just not open, like very warm to it. So,
I mean, you like it better now that it's got Control and Clash in it, though.
Yeah, and I will say, I do think people are overreacting at how bad grenade launchers are in the game, because statistically they showed like people still use shotguns and hand cannons and pulse rifles more, but it's still not a fun feeling to get one shot by a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. I think grenade launchers kind of ruin the game. There's also the Titan skating problem on PC.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know how much you guys have run into it, but it is not fun running into 4 Titans that are all Titan skating macroing. They can get from one spawn to the other instantly. They got One-Eyed Mask. It's
One-Eyed Mask is really OP. I have it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
PvP is fun, but for me, PvE is more fun right now.
Gotcha. What's your take?
I mean, I haven't been playing a lot of Crucible or competitive at all.
Getting
lately.
that Gambit grind.
I'll do the weeklies and stuff, and
Yeah.
I would consider myself a pretty strong player, but I haven't really grinded for any of the top stuff. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
You got to get that Now Forgotten. Oh,
Yeah.
so
Really?
good. I will say, though, the heavy ammo changes that they recently implemented does make it a lot better.
It does. The
Before you get
timer
heavy
on it.
every like 40 seconds, it was terrible.
It's good.
yeah, that was a better change, because I definitely think like it would be really it always sucked when you start a match and then like in the first 15 seconds you get heavy and you're like, wait, they already have the heavy? Like it spawns all the time. It was crazy.
It's crazy.
That said, I want Destiny's PvP to keep the interesting things about it. Like people, like I don't think shotguns are that broken. I don't think here's an interesting thing. Grenade launchers shouldn't one-shot if sticky grenades can't one-shot. So let's address that, right? I think like
Please don't do that.
Not magnetism grenades. Yeah.
talk
not
about
like
that
D1.
more. Just
not like D1.
demagnetize them a little bit. But I think it's in a pretty good state. What I think Steven, where I'm at with Steven is that there's nothing that I'm actively working towards that I think is like really gives me a great sense of accomplishment.
Except those pinnacle weapons, but you have to play comp for it, and I don't like comp.
But even then is like, I recognize Luna's Howl and Broadsword are really, really good, but are they that much better than what I have right now? Because most of
I
the
will
time,
say Not
Yes.
Forgotten is that much better.
Yes.
Not Forgotten is.
okay, because most of the time I don't feel myself losing to these things. Like,
Not yet. They're not out in the wild very much yet. But when you play against somebody and you get killed by Not Forgotten one time, you remember who that player is. And if you're going up against him with an Ace of Spades or something else, you know that this might be a fight that I will lose. You start feeling that, especially in comp, because people are grinding those things, like so many precision headshots and so many like hand cannon kills. You actually feel the difference. Like I was playing it with Steven and I tried his account. It's like, it is one of those things. That's a reason why I want to grind for it. So I've been paying attention to those things, like the way you've been doing Gambit. I've been trying to do those to get the Crucible.
yeah, I mean, like overall, I feel like it's in a pretty good state, but they need to do with PvP what they did with PvE in Forsaken, which is like give people
A bunch of things.
a bunch of different ways to achieve something that is worth having, and then with that thing, whatever it is that's worth having, whether it's a title or a weapon or whatever, like if it can display externally so that people know you have it. I know for me personally, that's like a huge thing. It was like I would not really care about the title at all if it didn't show other people that I had it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. No, it's
Really?
No, that's
like,
true.
yeah,
That's
totally.
100% true.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's weird, even like we're talking about the post-game screen and all the other things. I understand them wanting to eliminate the salt, but it is one of those things when I look back at Destiny 1, you could see your kills and you could see your deaths and you could see how much damage and all that other stuff. And there was like...
Well, you can still see kills.
You
not
can,
the loot,
but it's
though.
KDA,
Well, KDA,
right?
KD.
So that's the thing. Like I understand why. There's this like perception of, oh, you did good because you contributed to the team.
Oh, you
It's
hit
like,
him once.
well, how many kills did I really get? And it's not a bad thing that it's there, but in some of those competitive game modes, you want to know those details.
Yeah, in competitive, exactly.
Yeah.
If competitive is if you want to live up to the name competitive, I think you got to be able to give hardcore players hardcore stats.
Because the data is there. It's there in a bunch of other external
Plus,
apps and stuff like that.
Players who are hardcore about comp or they're competitive players, they're going to want to look at that data so that they can improve.
Get better.
So they can look at it and be like, oh, it turns out I'm killing a lot of people, but I'm also dying a lot.
Speaking of
so
data,
I gotta curb how many times I die, you know?
Speaking of data, I would love to see DPS damage in raids without having to wipe.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end or at the end of an encounter.
Because you got to call out the guy at the boss.
Also,
that's why they don't do it.
Isn't it still the case where, like, if you complete the boss, you don't get the score screen at all?
Yeah, you have to wipe to see that screen.
Like, come on.
I want to finish the boss, pull up the tab, and see the damage.
Here's your episodic reference. In World of Warcraft, anytime there's a raid, there's literally a damage meter on screen that's active during the fight. So you can see, like, it's a race. Like, all the DPS people are, and all the healing, because it's also a healing meter, all the DPS people are trying to out DPS all the other DPS.
Yeah.
And it creates a friendly competition. Like, oh, in your raid, in your clan, or in your guild, who is the top DPS person? Like, who is everyone chasing? This guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is fun. That is cool. And that sets, like, that just gives people a greater sense of achievement when they finally get to that level in the game. You don't even have to change anything except for your menu.
Maybe Destiny 3.
Maybe.
Oh, man.
I appreciate that we got one more in there for 2018. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
More to come in 2019.
Gonna move on to the next topic. This one's a little bit of a wrap up. It's crazy when you look back at 2018. We had a bunch of different things happen in Destiny. Obviously, Warmind got into there. That was a pretty good update, but Forsaken really took Destiny in a really good direction. We're all enjoying it and still playing it. Obviously Black Armory is coming in. People are a little bit mixed, but I'm interested to see what happens in 2019.
People are very mixed.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what happens in 2019. Some of our biggest moments, we'll go through the top 3 here. These were just picked by me, so there's no science to this.
CJ's top
I was like, hey,
CJ's
I'm hosting
top
the show,
3
so my top 3. I think probably one of the top 3 within the context of Destiny and the game itself was the E3 reveal that Cade died. Steven, you kind of pre-called it. You were on one of the shows, and you're like, wouldn't it be kind of weird if Cade had died? I mean, I would feel something then. And then we're like, no, don't do that. That would be bad. Cade is amazing.
I love Cade, but if he died, everyone would be like, "Holy crap, he died!"
Yeah.
And they don't do that.
Don't kill Cade. That's not what he's saying.
Yeah.
Don't kill Cade,
That
but
is not what he said.
make us feel something.
But yeah, I mean, so just real quick, talk about the moment. Where were you guys when you actually heard it?
I was working at E3. We were all working at E3.
Yeah, but where were you? Like, I remember where
I was in the IGN war room. PSX was on.
Yeah.
I heard that they're going to do something Destiny related, but really short, so I tuned in. It's funny because Destin was at that event, but he missed it because they had this weird thing when they made you walk from room to room.
So that's my top 5
and they played the trailer while people were walking.
Yeah.
So Destin had no idea what was going on.
That's the funniest thing because I was in the war room too watching that, and I was like pretty stunned. It was cool, but I was watching Destin's Twitter because.
He's like, apparently Cade's dead?
Yeah, so for everyone who doesn't know what happened at E3, PlayStation did this really artsy kind of
different, smaller showcase.
Yeah, a showcase for all their their announcements, right? And the first one was this amazingly intimate sort of like guitar-driven Last of Us 2 demo where they brought you into a church and it was like all decorated and stuff. But then that was just for their first game announcement. There was another game announcement after that and a couple more after, and they'd move the audience out of that room into another room. And since there's like 300 or 400 people there,
it took a while.
It took a while. And so a lot of them were stuck in transit, but the show keeps going, right? So Destin missed just about maybe a good half of what happened just because he was moving from room to room. Yeah. And he was pissed. And the fact that he missed the thing that he was there for, the Destiny one, is so funny to me.
It's perfect. Quintessential
It was
Destiny.
so funny.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I remember we were in the war room and just, that was actually a pretty big moment as well, too. Just sitting there going.
Oh, for us 3.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, yeah.
Everyone else in the war room was like, who is that?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Watching everybody else is like, they're looking back and I was like, is that guy important? And we're like, yeah, it's Cade.
It's Nathan Fillion.
It's Nathan Fillion. And you look on Twitter and you see all these little memorial things in the Twitter.
Yeah, they had a memorial at E3.
Yeah, and then I got a chance to talk with Deej. My biggest thing was, it's like, is he really dead? You're going to bring him back to life. I think that was my major concern. You're going to bring him back to life before the DLC's over. But for the most part, they've held to it. I don't see any sign of Cade coming back to life.
He's dead.
I think he's
dead.
That was a pretty big one. Number 2, we obviously had the big Forsaken launch debate, channeling Fran Mirabella.
One of our best
memories.
episodes. I wasn't on it, but it was a good episode.
It was one of the most commented episodes because we did this debate format where we did give a chance to have Andrea and Fran kind of comment about what they thought about the raid. Sean and Destin were over here, Team Elitist, what they thought about the raid. And it was really interesting because, Sean, that's when you turned heel with the Get Good. I'm going to play that for everybody now, but it's actually pretty funny.
Well, first off, I don't think you have to fix something that isn't broken.
Guess that's done.
So the solution is to get good.
So,
Wow.
there it is. So in that clip, it was one of those things where I know that you guys had both really good points. I thought, in the moment, I thought that Fran was a little bit off base and Andrea as well too, because you want to believe that this content is made for, again, what we would label hardcore. But I think the problem is you guys did come out with the elitist attitude in it, and that is what killed
People
you guys.
keep saying, people keep calling me an elitist, like that hurts my feelings.
No, I know, but that is when
That's not a negative thing for me. So
there you go.
keep it going.
Sean, heel, and Dustin.
For reference, though, I would consider Andrea a casual player.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. I think she probably did as well too within the context of what she had going on that time. But she's played a lot of the game, so it was interesting to hear Fran's take.
We all have a lot to do. Everyone has a lot to do. All of us on this show and the guests who come on here, we're adults, right?
Yeah.
People think that it's our job to sit out there and play Destiny 24/7. It is not at all.
Steve and I and Sean are usually up to 2 in the morning, and then we're dragging ourselves into work going.
I posted on Twitter, I got my dredging title. And someone was like, go outside. And it's like, dude, I was just in Norway. Japan before that, Austin before that, Edmonton before. It's just,
work.
we do work. A ton of us
This
do
is
work.
Fireteam Chat is not how we make a living.
Yeah, it's not like we play a bunch of Destiny, render our opinions, and then come in here and put them on camera.
Once
that is
a
not
week.
the job.
This is
not
the
the
time
job.
we talk about it. I literally, like I said, between approving my visa, spending some time with my kids, I usually wait till they go to bed at 10:30, and I'm like, all right, guys, I'll be on. And then what happens is the Destiny magic kind of takes over, and I say, last one, and we're going to bed, and it's 1 o'clock, and then Steven's like, well, why don't we grind for the EP shoddy? Well,
I can do it, yeah.
It's 2 in the morning. It'll just take a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
go to bed at 5 in the morning, wake up for work at 9:30.
So that's the thing. It's people out there are like, well, I can't do the content because of X, Y, Z. And it's like, listen, I get that. And if you can't, that's fine, right? Yeah. Sometimes we can't play the game when we want to because we have other life obligations. Yeah. But we figure out a way sometime to do it.
A wise man once said, where there's a will, there's a way.
There you go. Steven, Destiny addict. And then I think our final one that was probably, this is more of just the Fireteam Chat one. And I don't know how to explain this, but we're going to show a quick clip. Big shout out to Fran Mirabella. He is no longer at IGN, 18 years. But
he left because of this clip.
He left because of this.
No, I'm kidding. That's a joke.
So right now we're going to showcase what was our probably best moment of Fireteam Chat in 2018.
Kind of like at the end of Infinity War, when we were like, so I had that thought. Interesting market.
Look at his face.
Oh my God.
You see his face right there.
Yeah, he had a
I guess
little
I'll see tomorrow for myself
eyes up
how it all
moment.
unravels, but that, he's dead.
Fran, hope everybody saw Infinity War, unlike me.
See, at this point, I still think he doesn't. He saw it, and he's just getting on my case.
Yeah, I'm starting to think.
Oh, you thought he was joking.
Yeah, but then Destin goes
at all. But in any event,
If you didn't see Infinity War by now,
It's
you're
2
not
months
gonna
old,
see it.
Fran.
anyway. But yeah, so for me, going into it, I was actually really upset about they gave away this major moment in the story with Cade. Destin still can't get over it.
Was Infinity War really just spoiled for you?
I guess so. I don't know. I have not.
And
seen
then
it,
at this
so
point, I start to
I
actually
thought he
feel
was
bad.
joking.
Wait, are you serious?
But yeah,
You
don't
haven't
worry
seen
about
Infinity
it.
War?
It makes a great moment on camera. So you'd think that in most people know better. But hey, so let's move on. But I did think.
Generally very good about spoilers.
Nah, it's okay.
I just assumed you'd seen it.
Infinity War.
It is my fault.
Anyway,
This is what I get for playing
what did you
Warmind and
think-
stuff like that.
What did you think of?
But so
the
you
moment?
go into, but actually, honestly, you should think about it for the episode. There's people listening that have probably not seen it.
Oh
so
my God.
anyway,
Actually, man.
Kate is dead. This is gonna be a bonus scene.
I mean, the weird thing is with that, Infinity War had been out for a couple months. We won't say the ending of the show in case you haven't seen the movie yet. It is one of those weird things, even when I was talking about, the reveal here with there's some merit to what he's saying, but you can visibly see in that moment that
He is pretty-
angry.
I mean, okay. I feel like I have to defend myself after this.
All right,
You
give it a
guys
few
know
minutes.
me. I'm a big movie guy.
Yeah.
I am very, very good about spoilers. And I get on people if they spoil things when they think they're not spoiling
Yeah.
things. Like, you guys know Nick Scarpino?
Yeah.
He's always like, no spoilers, but spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. I'm like, Nick, stop. Like, stop. You're killing it for everyone. And so for that, for me to be the one who ruins it in that moment, it really pains me. And I wish that hadn't happened. But to be fair, you
Pretty good
can't
moment.
work at IGN and wait 3 months to see Infinity War, the biggest movie of
Apparently
the year
you can.
for our audience.
But guess what? He no longer does.
He quit because of that.
Yeah.
He literally told me in the exit interview, I'm quitting because Sean Finnegan ruined Avengers.
Stephen
for me."
Root conducting exit interviews now.
That was pretty good. I do feel bad for him. But the funny thing was, is just in tandem with the raid and everything else and how he felt about it, you know, it was one of those things we did not get a chance to give Fran a parting gift. And Fran, we know you're out there watching. It is the holidays.
Oh my God.
And this is for you, Fran.
So maybe it's time to right some wrongs.
There we go.
Go see a movie.
We're making it up for you. I mean, hopefully you've had a chance to do the raid, but if not, this is for you.
I mean, we have
Avengers
Avengers, we
Infinity
have Endgame coming up in spring, right?
How ironic, the title.
We should go
of the
watch it
show.
with Fran.
We should go watch it with
We
Fran.
should go watch it with Fran.
Hopefully he's watched that.
What is
We'll
the
make 'em
statute
watch
of
it.
limitations on spoilers? Can we talk about the ending of The Sixth Sense yet? Are we sure that everyone's seen it? It's from like 1995, but like I don't know.
Oh, man.
There might be people watching
It
this
was-
who haven't seen it. And
it
we
was
have to
pretty
make
good.
sure that they're covered off on,
That moment was pretty good.
lest they get spoiled for a movie
I
they haven't
think
seen
when
in 20
movies
years.
at this scale come out, like this anticipated, 2 months. If you haven't watched it in 2 months, it's your fault.
I mean,
dude.
we don't know if he's actually seen it yet.
I don't think he has.
He has.
I don't
so
think he has.
literally, this is the reason why.
When- So
Happy holidays.
especially
Fran.
working at a place like IGN where, okay, whenever I see big movies on opening day, right? But that's Friday, right? A bunch of people around here see it Thursday night or even Wednesday, right? Because they pre-open movies. So for that Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, you know what I'm doing? I'm at my desk, headphones on, listening to music. No one's talking to me because I know that I will hear someone 10 feet away, 15 away, just like casually dropping spoilers and stuff. And it's not their fault.
Yeah.
That's my fault if like I don't take the precautions. So
I stayed
I'm
aw-
sorry, Fran, but I'm also not.
Exactly. Sorry, not sorry. I stayed away from we just kept blinders on and stayed off the internet for the day that I remember it happening. And then once I knew that Reddit had kind of like, unpopulated that, I was like, okay, now I'll
Yeah,
go back
right?
on.
Take precautions,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So that's pretty much it, guys. Any last final comments for 2018?
Yeah. You're going to do these shout outs?
Yeah, you can give a couple shout outs there.
Okay. Well, I was going to shout out to the Bungie team, but it looks like you are doing that. So I'll
Yeah.
let you do that.
Well, do you have
Chill.
a couple? Oh, there it is. I don't
Oh.
care. Do you have
Well, I
names,
guess I
though?
should take it on now because according to the comments, I am the shill.
You're the shill. Do you
Yeah.
have any names specifically, Steven? I mean, you've been
Yeah,
doing
shout
all
out
this stuff.
to our entire Fireteam Chat community.
Yeah,
you guys are the reason we're doing this. If no one watched the show, we would not be doing this.
Yeah.
Shout out to the irrelevant boys, Lopez, Neko, Hell, Mound. Those guys do all the content with me.
Yep.
Shout out to Malky. Shout out to Destin.
Shout out to Destin.
Shout out to Destin for
Shout
no
out to
reason. Just shout out to
Just
Destin.
shout him out. I mean, he's probably like, shaking his head at this episode going,
Yeah.
oh, man, there was
But
way too much nice things. to
Seriously,
say."
shout out to the Bungie team. As much hate as those guys get, they work hard, and
Absolutely.
you can't discredit hard work. And I mean, I still play every day, so clearly they got me hooked.
The magic's still there. Yeah, you?
Yeah, shout out to Skadoosh and Steve with 5 E's.
That's right.
His name's not even Steve though.
Yeah,
It's
Steve's
Chris.
name is Chris,
Oh, man.
but his in-game name
So
is
when
Steve. Shout out
I
to those
play with
guys.
him and they say Steve, I have no idea who they're talking about.
Shout out to Brian Malkowitz, you two dudes, Teddy, obviously,
Oh,
Fran,
Teddy.
Destin,
Forgot Teddy.
of course. Yeah, those guys are
Teddy's
killer.
Teddy's
A lot of I wouldn't know as much about the game if it wasn't for y'all. Shout out to the Bungie team. I met Lars at E3. Like I was walking by and he flagged me down.
Great
and he
dude.
was like, Finnegan, what's up, man? And so like he was a super nice guy. Shout out to Deej and Cosmo for handling all the community stuff. That cannot be an easy job. In fact, I know it's not an easy job.
no.
Yeah.
And you guys handle it with a lot of grace, which I think is cool. Side note, Greg Miller tweeted out a really interesting thread on Twitter today about Spider-Man PS4 because they put the Raimi suit in there.
Oh yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys
Seen
followed
something
that
like that.
debacle, but it's a really interesting thread, and it kind of has to do with how devs field audience feedback,
Yeah.
which is something that I think the Bungie team is probably the most skilled at in this whole industry. So it's a really interesting thread. Go read that. But yeah, shout out to those guys. And again, thanks to the audience for me. Like, it's really awesome to be on the show. I love coming on the show to talk Destiny with you guys.
Yeah.
And I read the comments, and sometimes they irk me, but most of the time they're really, really good. And so thank you for being there, and thank you for watching this whole year.
You play into it. I know
Sure.
you know that.
Someone's gotta do it.
Exactly. Destin kind of does too. Yeah, I do want to say shout out to the Bungie team as well. Obviously, Steve Cotton, Scott Taylor, Lars as well. They were on a lot of those PR trips. We saw them at Gamescom, E3, and all that other stuff. Even communicating on Twitter. Especially when Forsaken was about to drop, a lot of good details they had for us as the content was getting released. And Deej as well too. Cosmo, DMG, all those guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate what you guys do. Also, special thank you to all the guests we've had this year. Miss Team KK, Dado, just to name a few who stopped by. And I think to all the people in the comments, thank you so much. We do this weekly because we do enjoy playing the game, and we know that you guys enjoy it too. You might enjoy hating on it or hate that you love it. We appreciate everybody engaging with us on social media, on IGN.com, as well as YouTube Fireteam Chat section. It's been really good, and thank you for watching the show week after week and talking Destiny with us in 2018. And obviously, Fran Mirabella, we know you're out there. Copy of Infinity Wars coming your way. Check it out. And that's it for 2018, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And until 2019, Guardians out.
Thought he was joking.
Wait, are you serious?
But yeah,
You
don't
haven't
worry
seen
about
Infinity
it.
War?
It makes a great moment on camera. So
It's encouraging people to dip out of fights and run away, and it's just not nearly as fun.
So now that we've all agreed that CJ lost the argument, let's talk about the update that's coming next week, Tuesday. So update one.
It did. I mean,
Pretty neat stuff, right?
really good, and it's a cinematic trailer, so for the most part it's one of those things where, look at this, we have a couple guys that we're hoping are going to get in Forsaken when it comes out. Probably not, especially PC Doug. He's just in it for moments, actually.
We coordinate our outfits, 2 red shirts for Crimson Days.
Crimson Doubles team.
That means you have to play with me later, so.
That's fine.
Okay.
Look out,
later
Dado.
tonight.
Look out.
It's a sense of despair, like, oh man, I couldn't save this guy
Right.
in time. And I wish they would do that with more main characters. Like, I love Cade, but if he died, everyone would be like, holy crap, he died. And they don't do that.
Don't kill Cade. That's not what he's saying.
Don't kill Cade,
That
but
is not what he said.
make us feel something.
Right off the bat, why? Who do I blame? You killed Cade.
I did not kill Cade. You can't blame me. The Scorn killed Cade.
I have real life responsibilities and things I have to deal with, and I don't blame Bungie or blame Destiny because I've chosen to look for an apartment or go on a date with my girlfriend. That's not their fault.
Hang
I'm
on.
like, are you kidding?
Hang on.
Wait.
I will say this. The
Black and white
elitist comment, sometimes it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it.
Destin, I think they're looking for a little bit of empathy from you. I don't think
that's
they're
not gonna happen.
Special shout out to these guys. Ronnie worked on the background. Andre's a lot as well for the show. And Stev Rue, he came to us also in 2018. So 2018 was a pretty good year.